Those are among the nicest virtual backgrounds I've seen.
Credit to our team. Brought to you by Horizons.
Great job.
Good morning, commissioners. We are ready to go when we hit 8:30.
I should test out the other background. See how that one comes out. Oops, nope, that's not it. Oh, interesting. I thought it had a white background, but it has a black background. Huh.
There is one, Chair Harrington, that has white background, but it has like the string just like that, but it's a white background. I did see it.
Oh, I must have downloaded the wrong one. I'll have to go fetch that one. I'm not a big fan of black backgrounds. I don't know how it looks on your screen. Are they okay? Okay.
Looks fine, and I'll send it to you now. I have it.
Thanks. So does anyone know if, well, I suppose I could look at the attendees to see if there's Commissioner Willie.
Yes, Madam Chair, we are just waiting on Commissioner Willie to accept our invite, and we are keeping an eye out for Commissioner Rogers, but we are live and ready to go, and you have a quorum.
All righty. Well then, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 21st, Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. So far, we have Commissioner Pam Treese, Commissioner Nafisa Fai, Commissioner Jerry Willie, and myself, Chair Catherine Harrington. And we're looking forward to Commissioner Roy Rogers joining us as well. The first item on the agenda, as usual, is board and leadership communication. So would any commissioner like to go first? Get us going this fine day. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese. Thank you.
Good morning. It was a busy week last week, lots of evening meetings. On Tuesday night, I attended the Beaverton City Council meeting along with the staff from LUT to review the MSTIP work plan. It was really, I was pleased with the outreach. I was really pleased with the staff's work. So thank you to Aaron Wardell, to Stephen Roberts, and to Chris Deffa. On Wednesday, I met with the American Cancer Society Action Network, and it was about the what we're going to be reviewing today in our meeting, the flavored tobacco. It was also, I think I was joined by people from the emphysema group and another group that is looking at stopping entry for young people into smoking. Then Wednesday night was the Community Action Board of Directors meeting, and at that Board of Directors meeting, we did discuss the tenant payments that are going out and the problems with the software that they're having, and just kind of the whole situation. So I feel confident that Community Action certainly understands the problem and is working toward a resolution there, along with the staff at Washington County. On Thursday, I had a constituent meeting with Shelley Castell, and Shelley has a problem with her property on the corner of basically it's Shoals Ferry and Allen. We're trying to figure out what the code violations are along with HHS and LUT. So it's a complicated situation, but we are working toward the resolution there. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the Wild Salmon Center, and I met with Brett Brownscombe, and that was in regard to the discussion that we're going to be having today on the Habitat Conservation Plan and their concerns about the 3 additional issues that we're going to be addressing and the effects on habitat and the climate. This week I had the MPAC meeting on Wednesday night, and that agenda includes a housing bond update, housing needs analysis discussion that Mayor Callaway is going to lead. So if you have any messages you'd like me to be taking, please let me know. But that is scheduled for this Wednesday night. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
If I could ask you on that MPAC information and the housing bond, I would be interested in where I could find a summary of the results to date from Hillsborough on the affordable housing bond. As we all know, both Hillsborough and Beaverton received disbursements as well. So I'm wondering, Beaverton's got its first project under construction. We've got one that's already leasing up, one with a groundbreaking, and I'm wondering what's up with Hillsborough. So
okay, I will do some research and get back to you on that. The other piece is all of you might be interested in looking at the MPAC agenda, because there is a report that's been produced and it's on that agenda. I can also forward that to you. It's really good. So
no, this is just what I needed, the little convo to say, hey, go look. It's probably there. That's great. No, this is very helpful.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes all we need is a little pointer or encouragement here or there. That's great.
Well, we got to keep track of what we're all doing too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like you've touched every aspect of our quite expansive portfolio all in just the last week. So good on you.
Thank you, Chair.
So who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Good morning, Chair Harrington and commissioners. Last week was also a busy week for me too. I agree with Commissioner Trees, but I was different busy. I think I was in a learning phase busy because I had 2 days of county college last week. And it was like one of my favorite subjects. And they really quoted like former presidents and former historians quotes. And it was focused on leadership development. So I really learned a lot and asked questions. And we also talked about a lot of transportation stuff. And and it was also last week of county college. I'm not yet a graduate of county college. I do have a few hours of to complete still, but graduation is in November, and I'm on track to graduate that. So I'm really excited and built a lot of relationships, even though it was really hard and it was online. But it was really good to hear the perspectives of people who are in the rural side of Oregon and some of the issues that they face around with their constituents, some of the barriers around the communications. And then the good thing is, none of us had to say we were newly elected, because we were all new. So it was really fun. And then we also had others who are not county commissioners that were learning with us too. So it was really good to have the perspectives of people who are boots on the ground and then county commissioners, and really have that fruitful discussion of what it takes to be an effective county commissioner. So I enjoyed that. Thank you. And then I also had last week JPAC at our public health meeting. I had my District 1 town hall, and then we did our board town hall. So last week was really busy. Also, there was a spread of like tobacco and electronic cigarette discussions, and met with the Jules group. And so it was really diverse, but my favorite was the conversations that I had. No offense to anybody who met with me last week, but nothing beats talking about leadership development with a whole bunch of people who have different perspectives. So thank you for listening. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But
well,
thank you.
I was talking with Gina Nickel, the AOC executive director, on Friday, and she was singing your praises because you really added a lot of value and richness, apparently, to the conversation at County College. And she just so appreciated it and is so excited to have you as part of the county commission set here in Oregon. So very much looking forward to your continued contributions, not only here in Washington County, but across our statewide effort. So keep going, Commissioner Fye.
Thank you so much for saying that, Chair Harrington. I really appreciate that. And please extend my gratitude to Gina, and I will do the same. I didn't know I had that impact, but thank you.
Well, good morning, Commissioner Willie and Commissioner Rogers. Is there anything you'd like to share with us today? It sounds like we've all caught up with our first full work week, 5-day work week in September. Woohoo!
Yeah, I'll chime in a little bit here. I also met with Brett Brownstone from the Wild Salmon Center, had a good conversation, and I think Pam summarized it. We'll have more conversations about the forest plan and certainly the HCP that goes along with that. So that was a good conversation. And if you remember, last Tuesday, I jumped out of our work session to join the COPAC Broadband Advisory Team. Update had a lot of good information about that. We're moving ahead really in a good, fast fashion. And so the consultants updated us on that. And I can provide some information that I will get from Ariane at COPAC if you'd like to have a recap on that. But we're certainly moving ahead on that, and it's looking good. Also, no one mentioned that we went on to our virtual jail tour last week. That was very cool that we got an update from the sheriff and his team. And so, yeah, that went on, I don't know, Wednesday, I guess it was. And then I actually left town on Thursday, went to Bend for a couple of days, enjoyed much nicer weather than was here. And so took a couple of days, but while we were there, of course, joined the town hall on Saturday. And that was always informational. So, and this week I'm going on my first ride along. It's taken me 3 years to get to that spot, but yeah, Deputy DeHaven in the East Precinct of the Sheriff's Office for a ride along on Wednesday. So it's going to give us obviously a kind of boots on the ground perspective of the things they deal with every day, and certainly the needs that they have to run a good department. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll check back with you next week on that.
Well, thank you for joining us on the town hall while you were away for a long weekend. I really appreciate that. Commissioner Rogers, what's happening in your world?
Well, a ton of things, but let's see, what would you be interested in? we all
anything you'd like to share. Okay. It's all not right. A test.
Everyone has talked about our last Saturday meeting. That was good. We also talked to Jerry about the jail tour. It was always good to see Pat and his crew. Had a chance yesterday to catch up with Gigi and hear about the short session coming up. And gain share is always an issue. Having been involved in those discussions at the very beginning, we need to keep our eye focused on that particular issue. Martin Grom and the crew met with them last week to talk about the strategic update on their facilities, and only to find out sadly that he's leaving us. So he, I guess, has taken a leadership position in some city, and like Tanya would know, it's either Tennessee or Kentucky or somewhere in there. So I've known Martin for a long time. He's been with the county a long time. It's always sad to see people go, so that's difficult. I have to go get a COVID test at 2:00, so I'm going to need to bug out at about 1:45, and it's very short, and I'll get back to have a little procedure I've got to have. They test you thoroughly now. Beyond that, I have been inundated with calls from folks on a variety of issues that we have on the agenda. So my phone's been burning up on those things. So that's where I'm at.
All righty. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you for covering some of our shared experiences. So like you, I've had a whole bunch of briefings on different topics, both from our staff, but also from some external folks. So continued learnings really makes the job fun. I attended as your liaison, the CAT steering committee meeting. That was really mostly focused on bringing them up to speed on our work of the of last week. Friday was the Public Safety Coordinating Committee. Commissioner Willie is our liaison to that, and Megan McKibben was there, note-taking for him. But Commissioner Fye and I, as you know, had expressed interest early in the year to be included in that. It's a good council. They do have some vacancies now, so we'll need to get those filled. Yesterday, I had the monthly chair mayors meeting, so I made sure to cover two different topics with them. The tobacco retail licensing. Back in 2019, oh, so long ago, when we were having to work on independent tobacco retail licensing. That's where we could do it for the urban unincorporated areas, but we needed them to handle it for the cities. Well, now with Senate Bill 278, if I have the number right, with statewide licensing, we have our public health authority to implement that. So they're up to speed on that. And I also shared with them the information that's in our packet for today about the emergency rental assistance program, and made sure they know that any action we take would only cover the urban unincorporated areas. And so Mayors Snyder and Bubenek and Lenahan were the three that got on it right away. Mayor Bubenek mentioned, Mr. Card, that their attorney has an expectation that any extension at the local level could end up with a court challenge. So I'll leave it to you to connect with their attorney on that. So thank you very much. I have one other item that I need to cover. Last week, I mentioned a discussion from the AOC Board of Commissioners, and I got the information. I shared incorrect information with you. And this is regarding bylaw change proposal. So I misspoke about the next steps. So there is a proposal that was discussed at the Board of Directors to try and alleviate the problem that there are some last minute, pretty substantive issues that are brought forward that take people by surprise because they're not posted on the agenda with very much, if at all. There is a proposal that there be 48 hours notice on agenda changes to help reduce surprises. And part of that is also increasing the vote percentage from 66% to 90% to pass these more contentious items that would have a probable situation of splitting AOC. So these bylaws have not yet been passed. We had a discussion about them at the board meeting, and the proposal is on the agenda for each of the 8 AOC district meetings that are coming up. So you may recall that our meeting is on Wednesday, the 29th. Oh dear, that's just next week already. And so from there, it'll go back to the board of directors for a vote in October. And then if it passes out of the board of directors, then it would go to the full membership meeting in November as part of the conference. So that's just the process for making bylaw changes at AOC. So, Ms. Angie, will we be getting a COVID update as part of either our work session or our business meeting today?
You will be receiving that as part of the vaccination update. Marnie will be partnering with Tom and Eva on that presentation.
Okay. I just want to mention, commissioners, and our staff will present it, that last night for the Tri-County Chair meeting, our regional health team provided us with information to address a question that I'd asked sometime in the last 2-3 weeks about, okay, we're continuing to go through this Delta variant surge. What does the future look like? And so they've done a very nice job to put together a risk outlook, 6 months out, 9 months out, and 1 year out. So I am not a subject matter expert, so I will leave it to them to share that and address any and all questions that you may have on that. So, all righty. I think that's it from me. So onward ho we go together. So now time, and commissioners, any last items or any questions? Nope. One last item I might have forgotten to mention. I had expected during the course of our meeting last Tuesday, a meeting of the 3 county chairs, the Metro president, and the Here Together coalition principals were supposed to meet on Wednesday. Given the work that our staff is involved with in putting together the longer term intergovernmental agreement, the IGA, Metro President Peterson felt that it was important to postpone that meeting. The other thing that's gone on is the political principal for the Here Together initiative, Kevin Looper, has become the lead for the People for Portland, quite controversial effort going on. And the result of that is Here Together has divested itself from working with Wheelhouse, Kevin Looper's company. And so that was part of the mix going on as well. So that meeting will be rescheduled. There was a little bit of a snafu that I better understand now. Council President Peterson and I got together and covered a lot of territory in a meeting on Sunday night. It's helpful for me occasionally to remind myself that during the course of the pandemic, we've been certainly stressed in supporting our community, both with COVID response as well as COVID recovery and economic support. Our revenue, though, has held pretty well. Metro's revenue, on the other hand, was pretty devastated because part of their revenue stream is reliant upon visitor venue revenue. So as a result of having to close visitor venues, including the zoo, they had to lay off approximately 700 people, which is pretty devastating. And that included laying off some of their office personnel to support the organization. So they have some people who have been covering 3 jobs temporarily as they were working remotely. And so like our staff, a lot of people have been stretched. So that went into the rescheduling snafu. They tried to reschedule this postponed meeting, and they rescheduled it for a date that neither I nor Chair Kafori could attend, which was a little puzzling. But that's being rectified, and we'll go from there. So it's just a good reminder of it's time for us to all be that much more kind and gentle with one another as we all get through this together. That darn virus is still controlling way too much. I want to seize control of coronavirus. Sorry. My hackles are up. So onward ho we go together. Anyway, we'll turn it over to leadership communication now. Ms. Angie, what have you got?
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioner Rogers. First, I want to pick up the thread that Commissioner Rogers raised. We do want to celebrate Martin Granum's contributions to Washington County. He has accepted a city manager position in Tennessee. The community is called Red Banks. It's just outside of Chattanooga. This is actually where his wife's family is from. So we wish him well on his next adventure in his professional career and his continued public sector contribution. So thank you, Martin. I will share that staff have been extremely busy prepping for today's agenda packet. So as you can tell, there were last minute presentations that popped into your inbox yesterday afternoon, as well as letters. This is not our typical practice. However, I think we can all acknowledge we are in atypical times. With that, I do also want to acknowledge Eva Haas and our Health and Human Services Department. She had been instrumental in bringing forward the vaccination survey information for the board. For awareness, the survey closed yesterday, and she worked feverishly to ensure that you had the survey results for your discussion today. So I just want to share appreciation for Eva as well. Relative to COVID, we do have some case count information that I would like to share with you. Employees, we have 7 in isolation, positive cases, and we have 4 unvaccinated employees who are close contacts and are in quarantine right now. Looking ahead, I do want to share with you for the October 5th meeting, Aaron Calvert will actually be taking my place for that meeting for the board's awareness. That is the ICMA conference, which is being held here in Portland. ICMA is taking all safety precautions for that conference. And it's an either or option, either you're vaccinated or you're tested to be on site. As part of the conference, I will be giving 2 presentations. One presentation is forming positive relationships with your elected body. So I feel comfortable giving that presentation. And the second presentation is operationalizing racial equity. And I will be co-presenting that with our Chief Equity Officer, Latricia Tillman, as well as the Equity Officer from Boulder. So talking about how to operationalize in 2 separate jurisdictions. In addition, Washington County will be holding Alliance for Innovation, which is an affiliate organization of ICMA. we'll be hosting a session with current members and other key strategic stakeholders, and having a keynote speaker, Rebecca Ryan, who is a futurist and talking about the future of local governments and what we need to be thinking about in the future. So really looking ahead and how do we prepare our workforce and our services to be sustainable, resilient, and also innovative. And that concludes my weekly update.
I want to compliment you for ensuring that our city managers have a good flow of information, including what is on our agenda today. So thank you. Mr. Carr, how about you? What's happening in the legal domain?
Good morning,
that you
Chair.
can talk about publicly.
Good morning, Chair Harrington. I wanted to talk a little bit about our team at the County Council's office. As you know, we lost Paul Hathaway, Chris Gilmore, and Elmer Dickens, over 150 years of legal experience in the last year. And we've been gradually rebuilding our team. And with the generosity of the board, we're going to expand it a little bit as we go forward. But we've hired John Mansfield and Amy McLaughlin to be our principal litigators. Amy McMahon, I'm sorry, to be our principal litigators. And they have come on the team and are just terrific.
Can you repeat those names a little more slowly for me? I have to work on names. So
John Mansfield and Amy McMahon. They have taken over our litigation. They've thrown themselves in and have provided a terrific help for the team. We've hired a new labor attorney, an employment attorney, to replace Paul Hathaway. Her name is Adriana Ortega. She comes to us after years of experience at the Bureau of Labor and Industries and from private practice. She's a very experienced employment attorney. She'll start at the beginning of October. We're very excited to have her be part of our team. And I just want to say how much I appreciate everybody on the team, particularly Brad Anderson, pitching in and handling this work seamlessly. I don't know that no one seems to have noticed the fact that we're down all these people, the hard work people have come in and people have put in, particularly Brad, Kim Stewart, Courtney, Jacqueline. We've got a terrific team and they've worked very hard and they're now getting some relief. And so I really appreciate the board's support through this period. And going forward, we hope to provide even a higher level of service than we have. Thank you.
Well, it has been an extraordinary time. Not only have they handled the complaints, the investigations, the legal cases, but an extraordinary number of contracts that have needed approvals, as well as a number of new partnership proposals and personnel policies. Good grief. You know, as the state has made changes, we've had to make adjustments as well. And so the team has just dealt with an incredible volume of work. They've held it together and helped us navigate this time, while they've always been a very lean team. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I will pass on your kind words to the team. They will appreciate it.
Thank you. Ms. Commissioner Treese.
I just want to express my appreciation to Tom for building such positive relationships so quickly within your department too. I think that that may not have been said or implied in your statement, and I think that it speaks volumes for to you. And thank you for working so well with the existing team.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Taniguchi-Dennis, what's happening in the clean water services world?
Thank you, Chair Harrington, and good morning, Board of Clean Water Services. The team wanted me to let you know that they're busy preparing and they're looking forward to the upcoming training with the board on October 18th, 20th, and 21st. And each day is a partial day, and the team will be sending all of you their schedule next week. I also wanted to give a kudos to our Intelligent Water Challenge project team. They've been selected to present their solution on their innovative project on proactively managing flows. that really links the conveyance and treatment operations together for energy savings as well as treatment plant improvements. So we hope to be one of the top 3 like we were the last time, but the team's very excited about this. So kudos to the whole group. There's some good news on the COVID front. Our team member that was hospitalized is now home and they're recovering well, which we're very thankful for. And while we've had no new positive cases this week, we have had 2 exposures that were related to contact with a contractor who was on site that later tested positive. So those team members are managing themselves at home. So other than that, things are looking good for Clean Water Services. So thank you.
Do you have for Clean Water Services the same level of information from your insurance, health insurance, on the level of vaccination in the employee base that we have been able to secure for the Washington County Agency?
Yes, so Holly has looked at our insurance numbers, which tend to be higher because it's with our non-bargaining group. The percentage of those vaccinated are higher. We don't have the same information from this Teamsters health program, but all of our team members are reporting their vaccination status to the HR team. And I can give you another update with her latest survey, but we're well over 70% right now. So hopefully there are others that we're moving forward through the process. So we'll get that to the board and get you updated. So thank you.
Terrific. Thank you. It's a little hard to believe that October's on our doorstep already. It was nice to see the rain this weekend, or I heard it more in the evenings, I should say, woke me up during the night. What did that have any effect with regard to CWS operations? You know, was the team excited to have to get their rainy season started preparations?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So the team was out there notifying the public they should really plan to look at their home roof gutters and also their catch basins. The team did well. There were some calls for support, but it wasn't as intense as we were thinking of. And the treatment plant usually does really well in these early storms. It's sort of later when the ground water is high and the soil is really saturated that we see much higher flow. So this was a good readiness, wasn't it, for the winter that's to come ahead, so in the fall. Thank you.
That's great. All righty. Anything else, team members, before we move on? Yes, Miss Angie.
I did forget to raise the letters for discussion.
Oh, yes, you and I both. Okay, so.
And Clerk Moss, if you could promote Stephen Roberts.
Were those published in our packet?
Yes, they were emailed, and also the links are in the packet.
Good morning, commissioners. Stephen Roberts, Land Use and Transportation Director. As Ms. Angie said earlier, we apologize for getting these draft letters out to you a little bit later than we would have liked. This has been sort of a quick moving topic. There was a fairly detailed explanation of what we're asking and why in the email that was sent to you all yesterday, but briefly, this is related to the state's climate-friendly and equitable communities rulemaking process. And I want to just start by saying we absolutely support the intent behind the rulemaking process, really looking at ways to try to do land use planning and transportation planning in ways that will help us reduce greenhouse gas emissions and try to help the state achieve its targets for emission reductions. The county and a number of other agencies have raised a number of concerns just about the speed at which the process is moving. It's moving very quickly. The implementation of the rules, initially we understood that they would not have a significant impact in the metro area, but as the drafts have come out, it turns out they do. So really the key requests that you have in front of you in these letters are to really just try to slow the process down just a little bit so that we all have more time to sort of digest the proposed rules, try to understand the implications both within and outside the metro areas, We're also a little concerned that the Rulemaking Advisory Committee, again, I think because of the original intent that these regulations would have limited application in the metro area, didn't involve metro area planning staff. So we think that perhaps expanding the Rulemaking Committee makes sense here. And then we're also a little bit concerned about the aggressive implementation timeline. So once the rules are adopted, we're still working through House Bill 2001 implementation, and we have some other things that are in our work program as well. So layering on yet another requirement very quickly would potentially be problematic. So what we're asking the board to consider today is signing a draft letter from your board directly to the Land Conservation and Development Commission, expressing concerns from the county's perspective. And then supplementally, there's also a stakeholder letter that's been prepared by members of the Rulemaking Advisory Committee that's also being circulated. And that letter, we have the opportunity to endorse it by adding our logo to the letter. And we also believe that that letter raises valid points and concerns. And so we're actually suggesting that you might consider signing the letter from the board and endorsing the letter from the stakeholder group as well. I would note in the stakeholder letter, we're still trying to chase down one answer. There's a proposal in that letter to designate climate-friendly areas, which is a geographical designation that will need to occur for where certain rules will apply by May of 2022. We're trying to confirm. Our understanding is that means that the Land Conservation and Development Commission and DLCD staff would make that designation by May 2022, as opposed to the local agencies needing to make that designation by May of 2022. And again, that just has to do with the bandwidth for staffing capacity. So we're trying to just clarify our understanding of that particular point. But subject to that, again, our recommendation would be to endorse that letter as well. And I'm happy to try to answer questions.
Quick technical question on that second letter.
Yes.
The one acronym that I couldn't follow, TSP, I assume is Transportation System Plan.
Yes.
But HNA, I want to make sure I have that right.
Yeah, HNA is housing needs analysis. And so counties, right. Counties currently are not required to do a housing needs analysis. However, that could be one outcome of this rulemaking process, is that urban counties may also need to do housing need analysis as well.
Then where are we making the point that there's a dichotomy between state law on county and housing needs analysis versus this work? And if they expect us to do it, I think there's an opportunity there for us to say, we're happy to do it as long as we're funded to do that work.
Correct. Yeah, and that is one of the points in the letters, is that we would anticipate trying to seek some additional funding to help support the implementation work. And our understanding from the state is that there will be funding and staff support available to help with local implementation of these rules.
So it uses the word should. I think this might be a place where we may want to change the word to must. Mm. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's a choice between funding community corrections or some part of our justice system through general fund versus this work, I know where I would land. Mm-hmm. So, at least if I understand that could be a coalition letter, but I think, if other folks want to keep it as should, then I would suggest an additional sentence, parentheses, for counties, it must be funded. Otherwise, we can't do it.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, I was trying to get at a technical question there. Commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, or are you comfortable with signing on to these two related memos?
Comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers.
I have to smile about your should and must comment. In the CPA world, they use the should all the time, but it's interpreted as must. So we always argue about that particular word. But Stephen, I read these last night. They came in yesterday afternoon, and I would encourage you. We've worked together a long time, so I trust that you had last minute issues. But trying to get something on a Monday afternoon for a Tuesday morning doesn't really give us any time. I mean, it's just looking at it and trying to understand what's going on. So I would hope, much like AOC, I heard what that proposal was, 48 hours. It would seem reasonable that we get at least 48 hours to respond. And so that's my little bit of a chippy comment. But my general comment is I have personally no objection. I think you struck the right chord. This is moving at lightning speed without funding. That's how I interpreted it. And these letters need to be sent. So.
Okay.
And I saw a thumbs up from other commissioners as well. So, okay, we're
Great.
good to go on those two.
Thank you very much.
Great. And I just want to be careful. We're okay. We've taken care of both letters, right? Okay. Just trying to make sure I get it all right. Thanks. Okay. Well, is there anything else, everyone, before we move on? Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers.
I thought the letters were going to come after the consent agenda. Are you going to bring that up now?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Checking in on the agenda for the meeting at 10 o'clock.
I would like item 15 pulled off the consent for a vote, please. I'll make my comments at the meeting, but I would like to vote on that separately.
If you'll pardon me for a moment.
Sure.
Which one is that, please?
Yeah,
15
that's
is the COVID mandate for healthcare workers, teachers, and school staff.
so just pull that and put it on the action.
Please. Yep.
So that will become F3.
Thank you.
Okay, and I just want to make sure that folks have followed that item E1 was pulled from the agenda for our business meeting at 10 o'clock. Is everyone all set on the agenda? Any questions? Okay, process-wise for item F2, no. Item E3 on our tobacco retail licensing, there may be some amendments for us to entertain. So Mr. Carr, if I could just confirm the process so I don't mess it up. I always worry about legal challenges on process. So best to take a couple minutes ahead of time. So we'll have a motion to read by title only. Then you'll read it by title only. Then we'll have a short staff report. Then we'll have a public hearing. Then we'll close the public hearing. And if there are amendments, we've read it, should we have put the ordinance back on the table, or do we just make the amendments then and there? Motions for the amendments.
Yeah, so laying something on the table is different. So let's not use that phrase.
Okay.
Laying something on the table means you're delaying it indefinitely. So you're not laying it on the table.
No.
In Robert's rules. So, but the motion you would then open the floor for any discussion or potential amendments.
Got it.
If anybody has an amendment, they will propose the amendment by motion. If there is a second, then there can be discussion and a vote on whether or not to amend the ordinance.
Yep. Okay. And then after that, then we have a motion for a third reading out for that October date. Is that correct?
I believe the staff recommendation is a continuation of second reading and then a potential later third reading, but I'm not certain of that. I know that staff wants to have another working session with the commission before the next reading.
Yeah, it says here, continue to October 19th for the third reading and second public hearing.
Okay, so it would be third reading, yes.
Okay. Okay, so it would be a motion to continue just as it says on the paper.
Motion to continue for third reading.
Yeah, okay, as amended. If we vote
If there's
to
an amendment, yes.
Okay. Phew. I think I got the process down.
Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions on the agenda for our 10 o'clock meeting? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move right to our second work session topic. I just better make sure I have the right agenda up. Is it still the Animal Services Code?
Yes, Chair
Yes, it is.
Harrington.
Okay, great. Well, I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Angie.
And in turn, I will turn it over to Randy Covey.
Thank you.
And Randy, you're unmuted.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Randy. I just got brought on, but go right into it.
Okay, thank you, Marnie. And great, I get a second chance at my opening comments. Good morning, Chair Harrington, members of the Commissioners, Board of Commissioners, Ms. Diane Taniguchi-Dennis, and Ms. Angie and Mr. Carr. Good to see you all. Thank you for making time this morning. Marnie and I talked a little bit about our animal services presentation, and we talked about doing a PowerPoint, but we couldn't think of any good way to make routine code revisions interesting or picturesque. So what we've decided to do is give you the gift of brevity in the interest of time and respect for all of the other important things that you have going. So I just want to introduce this real quickly, give you a little bit of background, and let you know what our desired outcome is today. The Animal Services Code was completely revamped back in 2015. Your board and or your predecessors, with the exception of Commissioner Rogers, who was there, of course, approved a complete rewrite of the Animal Services Code, which has been a great improvement over the very antiquated wording that we had in the past. However, as we've learned over the last 5 or 6 years, and my staff have been working with the code and enforcing the code, we've kept track of some minor corrections that need to be made, and in the interest of making it easier to understand and easier to enforce. In addition to that, back in 2015, there was a requirement from the state that counties and city animal control agencies provide enforcement of and licensing for animal rescue entities. That state law has now changed, and so they have removed the authority and the state has done it in a rare change of events, which we all appreciate. The state has actually taken back the authority and is now taking over licensing of animal rescue entities. And so part of our request today is to remove that licensing authority and requirement from our own code and change it to simply supporting the state law that does require animal rescue entities to be licensed. I don't want to bore you with the other routine changes. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about them. I believe you have them in your packet, both in a summary and also in the red line version that we provided that is sometimes hard to read, but you're all very intelligent people and probably smarter than me. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But our request today is simply to get your approval, your support of making these changes, and to be able to move forward with the first and second readings of the public hearing to make these relatively minor and routine changes. I will add that none of these changes result in any additional budget implications. They don't significantly change any of the services that we offer at Animal Services, other than to improve them by way of having a code that's more clear, easier to enforce, and we think will be a benefit to Washington County.
Commissioners, are there any questions you have regarding the code update? Commissioner Willie, any questions? Nope. Guess what, folks? It was pretty straightforward on our end as well. So you'll proceed then. I neglected to see. So the next steps will be for you to work it into the rolling agenda for adoption.
Chair Harrington, members of the Board of Commissioners, yes, the next step would be, I believe we have scheduled for October 19th would be a first reading where we'll bring forward the formal process. And then November 2nd would be the second reading, public hearing, and if all goes as expected, approval on November 2nd. Okay. And if I may, I just want to add, I really appreciate it. I know there were some compliments to Tom Carr and his team earlier. I just want to add my compliment to his team. Eamon McMahon, who has been working with me on these code revisions, has been fantastic. He's new to the county, but he has continued what I've come to expect from county council, which is great service, very knowledgeable and helpful. And I just want to compliment Tom Carr and his team for their work on this with me as well.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And if I might, Mr. Covey, while we have you, is there anything you would like to mention to us today about how you and your team have been providing service to our community during these current 2021 times of COVID, and what you've seen on the animal services side of things?
Wow, Chair Harrington and members of the Board of Commissioners, thank you so much. What a rare opportunity. I'm always happy to talk about animal services. I'm very proud of the team here. We have, throughout the pandemic, continued to provide the best services possible in spite of the challenges. Because of the nature of our work, it's been very difficult for us to work remotely. In fact, we can't take care of animals from home. Yeah. So most of the animal services staff have in fact been coming into work throughout the entire pandemic from the beginning. There are only a couple of staff that really have jobs that allow them to work from home, and we have accommodated that, of course. But we have continued to provide field enforcement, response to citizens out in the community who have public safety concerns about dangerous dogs. We have made some adjustments, of course, and we appreciate both the support of the Board of Commissioners, but also Marnie and Mira, who have provided great leadership at Health and Human Services in helping us to decide what adjustments to make and what services really are essential and need to continue to be provided. I want to tell you in particular, one thing that we've done in spite of the pandemic, we have created, and last Saturday was our very first session of an Animal Services Academy. This is something we've opened up to the general public. It is all remote. It's an online learning experience where we had an online registration process, and members of the public have been able to sign up and attend and learn in-depth information about animal services, the services we offer, the way that we provide excellent care for the animals in the shelter, the way that enforcement works, and the way that we invite the public to participate in that process in certain complaint areas. We talked a little bit about our volunteer program, which through the pandemic has admittedly been a real challenge. We've had to really restrict the opportunities for volunteers. But this is something that we've offered. We've got some really good feedback from the community just in offering it. Now, of course, we can't open it to all 600,000 residents of Washington County. Attendance is limited, but we did fill up quick, and we're now going through a 10-week process. So that's just sort of a snapshot, probably longer than my initial presentation, but I very much appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about animal services. And we have continued to provide, I believe, excellent services. We have a great team here, and it's been a pleasure to continue to do that throughout the pandemic.
Has there been an increase in service requests from our community during the course of the pandemic?
Chair Harrington, members of the board, that's a great question. It's kind of balanced out. I would say that there has been a little bit of an increase in the number of calls that come in for our field staff to go out and respond, because, I mean, think about it. Everybody's at home, and so they're paying more attention to animals that are out and about, and paying more attention to the way their animals their neighbors care for or don't care for their pets. So a little bit of increase there. We've actually been shocked, and this is not just at Washington County Animal Services and the Bonnie Hayes Animal Shelter, but community-wide and even nationwide. We have all been shocked at the reduction in the number of animals that are coming into the shelter. We think that's also attributable to the fact that people are staying home. They're providing better care for their animals. Their animals aren't escaping as often, and so they're not coming into the shelters. So there's been a real reduction in the number of animals coming in, but an increase in the number of calls and requests for assistance. Dangerous dogs doesn't seem to have been affected either way. We still have had some very serious and significant human injuries from aggressive dogs and attacks from aggressive dogs on other people's pets, which is one of the reasons it's so important that we've been maintaining our services, our ability to respond and address those public safety issues as they come up.
Well, thank you. I know I have a lonely dog in my neighborhood where the owners went from both working from home a lot to now going back to the office. And there's one young dog, no longer puppy, who is barking all the time because his people aren't home. And where are you? Where are you? So it's an experience.
Yes, it is. And we are here to help with any concerns that come up that are animal related. Our primary regulation is on dogs, as you all know from reading the code, but we do provide animal welfare, abuse, and neglect investigations for all manner of species. And we have a great staff that are very, very professional and very knowledgeable about those issues.
All righty. Any other questions or comments from our staff? I know there are at least 2 dog parents here on the Board of Commissioners. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
I just want to thank Randy for his work. I made a personal call to Randy about my daughter's search for a puppy and learned a lot about the changes in animal services from placing dogs to dealing with the violations and the different pieces that he talked about. It really, the landscape has really changed dramatically. And I appreciate the fact that our animal services group has worked with those changes in our environment and moved the ball forward, so to speak. So the tennis ball forward, the chuck it ball, whatever it might be. So thank you for your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Treese.
Well, kudos to the team. And so we'll look forward to seeing you again in October.
Great. Thank you again.
Terrific. Well, with that, folks, looks like we have about 20 minutes before our business meeting at 10.
Madam Chair, since it's 9:33, we have the option of moving up the CWAC appointment discussion if you would like to get that out of our way.
Commissioners, you okay with that? Okay, let's do it.
So Clerk Moss, is Mark Jockers been?
He's on the screen now.
Very good, thank you. So with this, Mark, would you like to provide the staff update?
Yes. Thank you, Diane. Chair Harrington, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for Kevin for reaching out to me. We're happy to jump on here. As you know, we came and spoke to you in July about beginning recruitment for 4 open positions on Clean Water Services Advisory Commission. Those positions were the agricultural position, the builder developer position, the at-large, as well as the District 2 representative. Over the last 7 weeks, we've done that recruitment, and we have a number of applicants to bring forward with you today. We have 5 applicants for the at-large position, 1 for the builder developer position, and 1 application for the agricultural position. We'll be asking you to extend the recruitment on the District 2 position, and we'll be working on that. You have the applicants are in your packet today that we sent to you. We'll be happy to make any sort of recommendation on that. To give you a quick summary here, the at-large positions include Gregory Horner, who's a district member, a resident of District 3, and he works for Northwest Natural, owns a small private orchard. Karen Caden, who actually works for the county in Washington County Parks, is a new employee there, has no experience with water issues. Tina Nago, who is a civil engineering student at Portland State. Richard Steinberge, who is formerly the facilities director for the for Beaverton School District. Fatima Taha, who is a PhD student in water resource management and environmental engineering at Oregon State University and lives in Beaverton. And then the agricultural applicant is George Marsh. He is a Director Emeritus with the Soil and Water Conservation District, as well as serving on the Soil and Water Conservation District's local advisory committee. He previously served on CWAC between 2004 and 2010, and he's been recommended by the SWCD board chair, Jerry Ward. And then the builder developer applicant is Matt Wellner, who has served 1 term on the commission already and is asked to serve a 2nd term. And we would certainly recommend that as well. That's a summary of the candidates we have currently. I'd be happy to answer any questions or make any recommendations if you'd like.
I'll say for the at-large positions, I would like to have the opportunity to talk with each of these applicants myself. So I would like to take some additional time on these appointments, on the appointment for the at-large position.
Chair Harrington, I will provide the contact information for each of these applicants to you today, and you can follow up with them.
Are there any other questions with regard to, I think that just leaves the builder developer one?
And the agricultural, and the agricultural position as well.
Mark, I have a quick question as the chair. I respect that the at-large she should take a look at, since that's really more her, as well as the district would be ours. But are you at all in a time crunch on this in terms of having appointments? Because if you're not, what would prevent us from doing the agricultural and the builder? Because we've got to appoint those anyway, and allow the chair all the time she needs. And, because it's not easy to put people in. I know that and find times in people's schedules to talk with various folks. Tell me about the process in your mind.
Commissioner Rogers and board. Yes, we are scheduled to bring these appointments back to the board on October 5th. So in 2 weeks, we can certainly move forward with the agricultural and as well as the builder developer position. And if Chair Harrington has an opportunity to talk to these other candidates before the 5th, she could make the selection at that time.
So on the agricultural one, sorry, the agenda sheet that I printed off on Friday. So currently the proposal, are you saying the proposal is to reappoint John Jackson?
No, I'm sorry about any confusion there. John Jackson has stepped off the commission, and George Marsh, who runs a dairy,
oh right,
has applied for that position at the Soil and Water Conservation District's recommendation.
So, quick question. First of all, I know George Marsh from days long gone by in my CPA world, and I respect George. He'd be a good appointment there, I think. And same with Matt Wellner and the builder developer. Do you typically make recommendations going back to the at-large district? Do you typically make a recommendation to us on when you have this many candidates, or do you kind of expect us to go through and do this process similar to what the chair is doing?
It is up to the board's discretion. I mean, we've done interviews with all these candidates already. At the end of the day, it certainly is the chair's decision on who she would like to appoint. All these candidates are excellent. They've all expressed an interest. There's varying degrees of experience that they have in what we're doing. But
okay, so do you share your?
It's the discretion of the district commissioner on the district appointments.
Okay, I think that's where he was pointing to it at large. But so I guess what I'd like you to do, Mark, is obviously share your interview information and kind of your critique and priorities of someone in this position with the chair. I will go through and reread those, the application process, but obviously that's limited information, so you kind of get a different perspective sometimes. So I'll be glad to do that. But I also hope that you kind of share your information from your interviews with the chair as well. So there's a coordinated effort there.
Absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
He's done that through the packet with the whole board. So, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just following the same process that district commissioners have in the past as well. So, great. So are there any other further questions? Terrific. Thank you. We've taken care of that item then. So we have 20 minutes more. I don't see that we have any low-hanging fruit off of our remaining work session agenda. So it looks like we'll have ourselves a bit of time before our 10 o'clock meeting. Okay, we'll see you all in a different Zoom link at 10 o'clock. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, commissioners.